The angry pagan said, I have not spilt my labour then. If thou his place supply, go take the field, and let's see how thou wilt maintain thy foolish words in that brave lie. Thus parleyed they to meet an equal tilt. Each took his aim at other's helm on high. Even in the fight his foe good Raymond hit, but shaked him not, he did so firmly sit. The fierce Circassian missed of his blow, a thing which seld befell the man before. The angel by unseen his force did know, and far awry the poignant weapon bore. He burst his lance against the sand below, and bit his lips for rage, and cursed and swore. Against his foe returned he swift as wind, half mad in arms, a second match to find. Like to a ram that butts with horned head, so spurred he forth his horse with desperate race. Raymond at his right hand let slide his steed, and as he passed struck at the pagan's face. He turned again, the earl was nothing dread, yet stepped aside, and to his rage gave place, and on his helm with all his strength gan smite, which was so hard, his court-lax could not bite. The Saracen employed his art and force to grip his foe within his mighty arms, but he avoided nimbly with his horse. He was no prentice in those fierce alarms. About him made he many a winding course. No strength nor sleight the subtle warrior harms. His nimble steed obeyed his ready hand, and where he stepped, no print left in the sand. As when a captain doth besiege some hold, set in a marsh or high upon a hill, and trieth ways and wiles 1,000-fold to bring the peace subjected to his will, so fared the county with the pagan bold. And when he did his head and breast none ill, his weaker parts he wisely gan assail, and entrance searched oft 'twixt mail and mail. At last he hit him on a place or twain, that on his arms the red blood trickled down, and yet himself untouched did remain. No nail was broke, no plume cut from his crown. Argantes raging spent his strength in vain. Waste were his strokes, his thrusts were idle thrown. Yet pressed he on, and doubled still his blows, and where he hits he neither cares nor knows. Among 1,000 blows the Saracen at last struck one, when Raymond was so near, that not the swiftness of his aquiline could his dear lord from that huge danger bear. But lo, at hand unseen was help divine, which saves when worldly comforts none appear. The angel on his targe received that stroke, and on that shield Argantes' sword was broke. The sword was broke, therein no wonder lies, if earthly tempered metal could not hold against that target forged above the skies. Down fell the blade in pieces on the mould. The proud Circassian scant believed his eyes, though naught were left him but the hilts of gold, and full of thoughts amazed awhile he stood, wondering the Christian's armour was so good. The brittle web of that rich sword, he thought, was broke through hardness of the county's shield, and so thought Raymond, who discovered not what succour heaven did for his safety yield. But when he saw the man 'gainst whom he fought unweaponed, still stood he in the field. His noble heart esteemed the glory light, at such advantage if he slew the knight. Go fetch, he would have said, another blade, when in his heart a better thought arose, how for Christ's glory he was champion made, how Godfrey had him to this combat chose, the army's honour on his shoulder laid, to hazards new he list not that expose. While thus his thoughts debated on the case, the hilts Argantes hurled at his face, and forward spurred his mounture fierce withal, within his arms longing his foe to strain, upon whose helm the heavy blow did fall. and bent well nigh the metal to his brain. But he, whose courage was heroical, leapt by, and makes the pagan's onset vain, and wounds his hand, which he outstretched saw, fiercer than eagle's talon, lion's paw. Now here, now there, on every side he rode, with nimble speed, and spurred now out, now in, and as he went and came still laid on load, where Lord Argantes' arms were weak and thin, all that huge force which in his arms abode, his wrath, his ire, his great desire to win, against his foe together all he bent, and heaven and fortune furthered his intent.